The journey of love is an interesting one because there is no destination to get to. Love is more like taking a trip into outer space. You're not really sure how far it goes. You're not really sure what you're going to run into, how much the journey will change you. And would that be a bad thing if it did? You don't really know how it's going to go. You're just going to have to be open to finding out. But it's a rough journey because first you have to try to understand love. Well, that's hard and really confusing at first because there's no definitive definition for it as far as I know. So you can't really go around with a checklist and identify love when you come across it. And then you've got to be open to the possibility that you could ever even find love through another person to begin with. You have to believe that that's even possible. Well, that takes some real faith in yourself and other people, because love is kind of like a belief system. And it's really easy to be a disbeliever, especially as time goes on. Despite how romanticized the idea of love is, there's still a lot of love atheists out there. And at different points of your life, you stop and think, me? Find genuine love? I don't know about that. And then if you get to that stage, you have to go out and actually find someone to mutually start this journey with. Well, there's so many people out there, and then you have such little free time to invest into such a committed journey. Not to mention life is already stressful. Where do you even start on this journey? It's not like you can go out and date every single person and then slowly weed people out through a process of elimination. That's not realistic. So it forces you to have some sort of judgments and standards to go by to decide who is you're most willing to invest the time into finding out if this thing can become real. And of course, it's incredibly hard to not allow past potential love mates that didn't work out from impacting the way you show up with a new person, because trauma is a real thing. It affects us. Our past experiences kind of bleed into our present if we don't have it in check at least, so you have to work on that. And so then, after you've found someone to do this harmonic dance with, this love thing, you have to develop it. So you have to take your little seed of love and try to nurture it and take care of it and make it grow into this blossoming flower of love, this genuine love. Well, that takes significant time and effort. Sometimes you have to rearrange large parts of your life to try to make it work. The pursuit of love is a literal investment of yourself into the shared experience with another person. Well, that's not an easy feat. And then you have to go through the extremely humbling and challenging experience of recognizing your own flaws and accepting theirs. But not just recognizing your flaws, but acknowledging that your flaws are holding you back from indulging in what might potentially be the greatest long-term human experience in existence. And then of course, actively working on those shortcomings and flaws that you've identified. That's not easy. That'll be a lot of work. And these are of course flaws that you never had a good enough reason to notice, let alone do anything about, because there's never a good enough reason or something that entered your life that made you even become aware of them in the first place. And sure, you could have done it just because you wanted to be the best person that you could possibly be, but come on, if that was true, you would have already done it. So you're not that person, and that's fine. You know, I'm not either. I wasn't the type of person to try to fix all the things about myself that I knew needed work. Only some of those things made sense, and the other things didn't make sense until I started experiencing what genuine love is, and the back and forth and the growth that comes from it. I wanted to see if the hype was real too. So now I'm out here working on my emotional intelligence, trying to be more open and vulnerable, every now and then crying and shit. I guess you'd call it healing. But then even when you get to that point, you're not done, because now you have to learn to maintain love. You've reached it, well now you've got to maintain it. Well, we're constantly getting to know ourselves and changing and getting used to the force of complacency now that you're familiar with your partner and you love them, and complacency sets in. So it's a real balancing act, because while you're changing, they're also changing, hopefully. I mean, that's what you'd want in a strong, healthy relationship, that you can both help each other grow and develop. So that's change. So change equals good, but you have to go through it. And then finally, when you thought you were done and you've reached the height, the pinnacle of this elusive love thing, you find out that love can be deepened. And so then you go ahead and work on doing that. You find ways to enrich your love. And if you're fortunate enough, you find yourself in this position, in this stage, for the most part of your relationship, where you're just constantly enriching your love between each other. And even then, love isn't always pretty. It's not always fun. It's not absent of arguments and disagreements. It's nothing like the movies make it out to be. Not that I'd want it if it was. I mean, I think part of what makes valuable things valuable is that it's harder to get, or it takes more work, or it involves a lot of effort. All of these different like levels and stages isn't the destination of love. It's not where it gets you to. Because I think that would be misleading to say that. I think it's more of a process of love, because it's constant. It keeps on going. It doesn't end. There's no place to get to. It's just an ongoing thing, and I guess you kind of have to fall in love with the process. That applies to a lot of things, but I guess it also applies to the pursuit of love as well. The process is long. It's challenging. It's difficult. It's uncertain. It's risky. You start thinking like, what if after all this effort, in time and energy, what if it doesn't work out? Then what? Well, to that I would say, if there was ever an experience worthy of the sacrifice of a long-term pursuit, this is probably it. I think love is a worthwhile pursuit. Even if it takes multiple learning experiences through multiple people, it's a flavor worth tasting. Even if you can't keep on tasting it, even if it comes to the end, it's worth it. Everyone's heard that it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all, right? Everyone's heard that, but I think I would agree with it. I would recommend it. I'd say love is a 9.7 out of 10. I'm happy I pursued it. A lot of people give up on it at some point in their life. They view full spectrum love as like a myth that they'll never attain. And then they become pessimistic and cold towards the idea of love and the possibility of love. They become very, very hollow about it. And those people will still get married and still have children and still have families, but they've plateaued in the process, and they've kind of settled, and they never get to discover the genuine joy of fully formed, full spectrum love, the experience that everyone hopes to achieve, and sometimes they stop trying a little bit too early. Well, they stop trying. That's a problem. They stop trying. They stop the process. They decide that it's too big of a price to pay, and then they kind of just give up. And I get it. I understand. There's no judgments here. The reality is that some people will go their whole life and they'll never experience genuine love. It's sad. Unfortunately, it's not a human right. It's a privilege and an honor, and it takes a ridiculous amount of commitment, luck, self-work, and openness. It takes a lot. But the good thing is that if you're still alive, if you're still breathing, there's still time. Love isn't desperate. There's no urgency with love. Love is open. Love is an expression, and you can start at any time. Love begins with yourself, after all. All the best in your pursuits. I hope that you one day are able to experience genuine love, even if it's just for a short time. Don't give up. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you'll probably enjoy this video right here, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Hey. What are you doing?